pack called her useless, until the Alpha King Neil and her hidden wolf awoke. Trees towered above, their twisted branches forming dark corridors where only the brave or foolish dared to tread. Among these ancient trees, the Valian wolf packs moved with silent grace, each step a testament to strength, loyalty, and unspoken laws. Elara moved quietly along the forest floor, her soft feet pressing against the moss and fallen leaves. Her amber eyes scanned the shadows, alert but cautious. She had lived at the edge of her pack for as long as she could remember. Labeled useless by her own kin, she had long accepted the quiet life of invisibility, but her heart burned with the desire to prove herself. The other wolves often mocked her. They said she could never shift fully, that she was weak and slow, and that her spirit lacked the fire needed to survive. Even the younglings who played at the edges of the pack would whisper cruelly behind her back. Every insult, every glance of disappointment carved a hollow ache inside her. Yet tonight, Elara felt a stirring in her chest, a restless pulse she had ignored for too long. The moon hung low, its blood-red glow casting an eerie light on the forest floor. It seemed almost alive, as if it called to something within her. A sudden rustle shattered the calm. Elara froze, muscles tensed. From the darkness, a shadow slithered forward, a creature unlike any she had seen before. Its eyes glowed with hunger, its teeth sharp as daggers. A pack's youngling, separated from the group, whimpered in terror. Fear gripped Elara, yet instinct surged through her veins. Something deep and ancient stirred, a voice of the wolf inside her whispering that she could not run. She ran toward the creature, heart hammering, palms trembling. The moment she neared, a surge of energy erupted from her chest. Her bones ached as her body began to transform, not fully but enough to reveal the latent power hidden within her. Her claws tore into the earth as her senses sharpened. She could hear the rapid heartbeat of the youngling, smell the sharp tang of the predator, feel the electric pull of the moon on her fur. The shadow beast lunged. Time slowed. With a growl that surprised even her, Elara met it head-on, her claws striking with precision born of instinct rather than training. The forest seemed to bend around her movements, shadows dancing as if alive. The beast faltered, then bolted back into the darkness, vanishing like smoke. Elara's body shuddered as the transformation faded, leaving her trembling on the forest floor. She looked around, and the youngling's wide eyes reflected awe rather than fear. Slowly, others of the pack emerged from the trees, murmuring in disbelief. Even Kalen, the Alpha King, stepped from the shadows, his tall frame framed by the crimson moonlight. Kalen's gaze was intense, piercing, and unreadable. For a moment, Elara felt exposed, as though he could see every fear and doubt she had ever carried. He knelt slowly, not as a gesture of submission but as a mark of recognition, acknowledgement of a power she herself barely understood. "You," Kalen's voice was low, resonant, carrying both caution and wonder. "You are not as weak as they say." Elara's heart thumped violently. The pack, who had called her useless for years, now stared with a mixture of reverence and fear. She wanted to speak, to explain, but the words caught in her throat. All she could do was look into Kalen's eyes and feel the weight of his attention pressing upon her. Night deepened, and the pack reluctantly began to retreat, leaving Elara and Kalen alone in the eerie quiet of the forest. The moon seemed to shine brighter, casting a silver glow on the ground, illuminating the path that now lay before her. Kalen stood, his shadow long and commanding. "You have a wolf within you," he said, almost to himself. "One that sleeps too long, and one that can destroy or save more than you know." Elara swallowed hard. She had heard whispers of hidden wolves, of packs that carried dormant power within them, but she had never thought it could be her. The idea of such strength was thrilling and terrifying all at once. I don't understand," she whispered, her voice shaking. "I've always been weak, useless. I don't know how to control it." Kalen studied her with sharp eyes, then turned to look toward the forest, his posture rigid. Control will come with time, but power like yours, it cannot be ignored. The pack will watch you now and they will judge you harshly. Not all will be allies. Some will seek to test you, to push you until you break. Alara felt a flicker of fear at his words, yet beneath it, a spark of something new, determination. Perhaps this was the chance she had always longed for. Perhaps she could be more than the pack believed. Kalen's gaze softened for a brief moment. "Come with me," he said, his voice a command wrapped in invitation. "I will teach you if you are willing to learn." Alara hesitated. To accept his offer was to step fully into a world she did not yet understand, a world of power, responsibility, and danger. But the weight of the scorn she had carried for so long made her decision easy. She nodded. I will try," she said, her voice firmer than she expected. Kalen inclined his head, as if acknowledging both her courage and the storm to come. Together, they walked deeper into the forest, leaving the familiar shadows of her past behind. Each step echoed with possibility, each breath filled with tension and anticipation. As they moved, a whisper of the wind passed through the trees, carrying a warning that only Alara could hear. Something ancient, something unseen, stirred in the deeper shadows of the Valian forest. A darkness that had watched the packs for centuries now turned its attention toward her awakening power. Alara shivered, not with fear but with the pulse of untamed potential. The forest seemed alive around her, sensing the change. The moon above bathed the world in crimson light, and she felt the wolf inside her stir once more, restless and impatient. "Soon," she murmured to herself, "I will show them who I truly am." Kalen glanced at her, a flicker of both curiosity and caution in his eyes. He said nothing, but his silence carried weight. He, too, understood that the awakening of her wolf was not just a personal triumph. It was the beginning of something far larger, something that could shift the balance of power in ways no one yet realized. They reached a clearing, and the moonlight fell fully upon Alara. She lifted her head, ears twitching at every sound. For the first time she did not feel small or weak or unworthy. The whispers of her pack's derision faded behind her, replaced by the steady rhythm of her own heart and the growing strength of the wolf inside her. In the distance, the shadows shifted. Unseen eyes watched, and the forest itself seemed to hold its breath. The first chapter of her destiny had begun, and neither scorn nor fear could stop it. Cliffhanger. As Alara closed her eyes and felt the wolf stirring deep within her, a distant howl echoed through the forest, a call not from her pack, but from something older, darker, and infinitely more dangerous. She opened her eyes, and the red moon glowed brighter than ever. Her heart raced, and she knew that her journey had truly begun, and that the world would never see her as useless again. The morning light filtered through the dense canopy of the Valian forest, casting streaks of gold across the moss-covered ground. Alara walked beside Kalen, her movements careful and measured, though her heart still pounded from the previous night's awakening. Every sound, the rustle of leaves, the chirp of distant birds, seemed amplified as if the forest itself were alive and watching her. Kalen led her to a hidden glade, a place few in the pack knew about. The air was still, scented with wildflowers and damp earth, and in the center lay a shallow pool that mirrored the sky. Here, Kalen said, she would learn to control her hidden wolf. "Your power is unlike any I have seen," Kalen said, his voice calm but commanding. "It is strong, yes, but wild. Without control, it will destroy everything and everyone you care about." Alara swallowed hard. The memory of her first awakening lingered in her mind, a mixture of fear and exhilaration. "I don't even know where to begin," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. Kalen studied her closely, his eyes reflecting both caution and something softer, almost a flicker of trust. "Then we begin with understanding. Your wolf is not separate from you, it is part of you. Anger, fear, love, sorrow, these emotions feed it. You must learn to guide it, not fight it. Alara nodded, though doubt gnawed at her. For years she had been told she was weak, that she could never be strong. Could she truly command a force she had only glimpsed once? The training began cautiously. Kaelin instructed her to focus on her senses, to feel the subtle pulse of the earth beneath her feet, the rhythm of her heartbeat, the faint wind brushing against her skin. Step by step, Alara learned to hear the forest in ways she never had before, to sense movement, to anticipate danger, to feel the presence of creatures both friend and foe. Her wolf stirred as she trained. At first, it was timid, as if uncertain of the bond forming between them. But as days passed, it grew bolder, responding to her commands and instincts. Kaelin was patient but exacting, pushing her to her limits and occasionally beyond. "You are stronger than you know," Kaelin said one evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the glade turned to gold and shadow. "But strength without control is chaos. Do you understand?" Alara's eyes met his, a flicker of determination igniting within her. "Yes," she said firmly. "I want to control it. I want to be more than what they say I am." Kaelin's lips curved slightly, a rare expression of approval. "Good. Remember that feeling. It will carry you farther than any claw or tooth." Despite the progress, not all in the pack welcomed her transformation. Her old rivals whispered behind her back, watching her every move with suspicion and envy. Some sought to provoke her, to force her wolf to reveal itself in anger or fear. They hoped to see her fail, to reinforce the lies that had long defined her life. One day, as Alara practiced alone near the edge of the forest, she felt their presence before she saw them. A group of her former tormentors emerged from the trees, eyes narrowed and teeth bared in challenge. "You think you're strong now?" one sneered. "That little display last night doesn't make you anything. You're still weak. You're still useless." Alara's heart tightened, but she forced herself to remain calm. She could feel the wolf stirring, agitated by their words. Its growl was low and threatening, a reminder of the power she had barely begun to master. Kaelin appeared at her side without warning, his presence steadying. "Step back," he commanded, his voice carrying the weight of authority. The rivals faltered, recognizing the Alpha King's warning in his tone. "Your wolf is not a weapon to be provoked," Kaelin said, eyes fixed on Alara. "Control it or you will destroy yourself." Alara drew a deep breath, focusing inward. She felt the wolf pulse within her chest, fiery and impatient. Slowly she channeled its energy, letting it flow without letting it consume her. The rivals watched in silence, uncertainty flickering across their faces. Finally, Alara stood tall, her amber eyes glowing faintly in the fading light. "You will not control me," she said softly, her voice steady, "and I will not fight for your amusement." The rivals hesitated, then backed away, murmuring to each other. Alara felt a surge of pride, not for defeating them but for holding herself together, for showing that strength was not always measured in attacks and claws. Kaelin's hand rested lightly on her shoulder. "Well done," he said, his tone quiet but approving. "Strength is not just in your wolf, it is in your choices. Remember that." That night under the silver moon, Alara could not sleep. Her mind swirled with thoughts of her training, the pack's doubts, and the strange pull she felt toward Kaelin. She had always admired him from afar, his power, his grace, and the quiet authority that commanded respect. Now, as they spent time together, she felt something deeper, a connection that stirred her heart and her wolf in ways she could not fully understand. The next days were filled with intense training. Kaelin pushed her harder, taking her to the cliffs above the forest, to the rushing rivers, to shadowed caves where echoes tested her senses. Each day, the wolf inside her grew stronger, but so did the emotional bond between teacher and student. At times, Kaelin's eyes lingered on her, and Alara could feel his silent attention like a weight on her chest. She tried to ignore it, focusing on her wolf, on the training, on the whispers of the forest. But the tension was undeniable. Every glance, every word, Every small touch was charged with a strange energy neither of them fully understood. One evening, as the sun sank behind jagged peaks, Kalen stopped their training near a riverbank. The water shimmered with gold and red, reflecting the dying light. "Your wolf is awakening faster than I expected," he said. "There is a prophecy, one that speaks of a wolf hidden in shadow, rising to meet a great darkness. I believe you may be that wolf." Alara's heart skipped a beat. A prophecy. Her mind raced with fear and hope. Could she truly be destined for something so monumental? Or was this just another expectation she would fail to meet? "I don't know if I'm ready," she whispered, staring at her reflection in the water. The image was both her own and something more. Eyes glowing faintly, ears slightly elongated, a hint of power that was still untamed. "You are never truly ready," Kalen replied. "But strength is not about readiness. It is about courage. It is about standing when all else fears you. It is about facing what others cannot." As if to test her resolve, a sudden rustle came from the nearby woods. Shadowy figures emerged, wolves from a rival pack, their eyes gleaming with challenge. They had come to confront Kalen and test Alara to see if she was truly as powerful as whispered. Alara's heart pounded. The wolf inside her surged forward, sensing the threat, but she focused on Kalen's voice in her mind. Control, not anger, control. "Stand beside me," Kalen said. "Together." Alara nodded, feeling the strange bond they shared strengthen. Her wolf pulsed in harmony with his, their energy intertwining like twin flames. The rival wolves hesitated, sensing the strength radiating from the pair. "You will not harm my pack," Kalen declared, his voice echoing through the trees like thunder. Alara felt the wolf roar within her, a deep, resonant sound that carried power and warning. The rivals froze, then slowly retreated, bowing to the authority of Kalen and the emerging force beside him. Afterward, Alara sank to the riverbank, exhausted but exhilarated. Her wolf had not just protected her, it had shown her the strength she had long denied. Kalen knelt beside her, eyes softer now, filled with a mixture of respect and something more, something unspoken. "You have done well," he said, voice low. "But remember, the true test is not the rivals or the enemies that can be seen. The true test is within yourself. The wolf, the fear, the longing, you must master it all." Alara nodded, feeling a strange warmth in her chest. For the first time, she did not feel useless. She did not feel weak. She felt awakened. And yet, a flicker of doubt lingered, a shadow at the edge of her mind. That night, as the moon rose high and the forest slept, Alara closed her eyes and let the wolf stir inside her. She felt power and fear, longing and desire all tangled together. And somewhere in the depths of the dark forest, eyes watched, ancient and calculating, sensing the rise of the hidden wolf. Cliffhanger, a distant howl shattered the silence, deeper and more terrifying than any wolf she had known. Alara's wolf leapt within her, alert and tense, and Kalen's hand found hers. She met his gaze, heart racing. The darkness was coming, and this time there would be no retreat. The forest of Valian was alive with whispers of wind and shadow, yet the peace Alara had begun to feel was fragile. The rival pack's presence still lingered like a thorn in the mind of her wolf, a reminder that power always drew attention and challenge. But she no longer felt the same fear she had known before. Her wolf was stronger now, and so was her resolve. Kalen moved beside her, silent and commanding, as they made their way toward the high cliffs overlooking the valley. The wind tugged at their hair and fur, cold and sharp, and the distant howl of a lone wolf echoed like a warning. Here, Kalen said, they would prepare for the true test, confrontation with the darkness lurking beyond the forest. "Alara," Kalen began, his eyes scanning the horizon, "power is more than strength. It is courage, control, and understanding. You have learned control, but courage will be tested when you are faced with danger that cannot be anticipated. When that time comes, you must trust your wolf and yourself." Alara nodded, feeling her chest tighten. Her heart thumped like a drum in her ears. She had come far, but the words of Kaelin reminded her that every step forward carried greater responsibility. She was no longer just a student. She was becoming a force the pack would follow, whether they wanted to or not. Suddenly, the ground trembled. A shadowy figure emerged from the forest below, moving with unnatural speed and stealth. The rival Alpha had returned, more confident, more cunning than before. His eyes glowed with malice, and he had brought others with him, wolves who thirsted for power and conquest. Alara's wolf stirred instantly, alert and tense. She felt a surge of energy, a mixture of fear and excitement that coursed through her like fire. Kaelin's hand brushed hers, steadying, reminding her that they faced this together. The rival Alpha spoke first, his voice carrying across the wind. "So, the hidden wolf has awakened. Let us see if she is as strong as the stories claim." Alara's heart pounded, but she did not step back. Instead, she felt her wolf pulse in rhythm with her own heartbeat, ready to defend, ready to fight. Kaelin's presence beside her was steady and reassuring, yet she could sense the tension in his body as he prepared for the attack. The rivals lunged, moving like shadows across the valley. Alara took a deep breath, feeling the wolf rise within her. She no longer fought out of fear or shame, she fought with purpose. The wind seemed to swirl around her, carrying the scent of earth and power. She met the first attacker with a swift strike, claws slicing through the air, her wolf guiding her every movement. Kaelin moved in tandem with her, their actions synchronized as if their souls had merged. Together they drove back the rival pack, each motion precise, controlled, yet filled with raw energy. The wolves faltered under their combined strength, uncertainty flickering in their eyes. Despite their power, Alara's wolf was impatient, untamed. She felt it urging her to unleash more, to overwhelm, to dominate. But she remembered Kaelin's words, control, not chaos. With effort, she restrained the wolf, focusing its energy into sharp, precise movements that protected without excess. The rival Alpha growled in frustration, circling around them with cunning and speed. He was stronger than any single wolf she had faced, yet Alara did not falter. Her wolf's senses were heightened. She could anticipate his movements, predict his strikes, and counter with agility that amazed even Kaelin. "You are remarkable," Kaelin murmured during a brief pause in the battle, his eyes meeting hers. There was no fear in his gaze, only awe and something deeper that made her heart flutter. Alara's cheeks flushed, but there was no time to dwell on it. The rival Alpha surged forward with renewed ferocity, forcing her wolf to awaken fully. For the first time, Alara felt the wolf's strength merge completely with her own body and mind. She moved with speed and power she had never known, her claws and fangs precise, her instincts guiding her flawlessly. The shadow of the rival Alpha fell across her path, and she leapt, twisting in midair, landing with control and grace. The other wolves hesitated, sensing the energy radiating from her, and even Kaelin felt the pulse of power connecting them. For a moment, time seemed to slow, the forest, the cliffs, the wind, all attuned to the hidden wolf that had finally risen. The rival Alpha faltered under the intensity of her gaze and the force of her strikes. Alara felt a thrill of victory, but also a whisper of caution from within her own mind. This was only the beginning. Darkness, older and deeper than rival packs, still awaited. After the skirmish, the forest fell silent. The rival wolves retreated, leaving Alara and Kaelin standing atop the cliff, the wind whipping around them. She was breathless, her wolf still surging with energy, but she also felt a profound sense of accomplishment. She had proven to herself that she was more than the pack had ever believed. Kaelin approached, his hand brushing hers once more, grounding her. "You have grown beyond expectation," he said softly. "But growth always invites greater challenges. You must remain vigilant." Alara nodded, feeling the bond between them deepen. Their hands lingered together, not as teacher and student, but as two forces connected in ways neither fully understood. Her wolf stirred, sensing the bond as well, calm yet alert, aware of the strength that came not just from raw power but from connection. Days passed, and Alara's training continued with increasing intensity. Kaelin taught her to harness her wolf for both defense and strategy, guiding her to see patterns in the forest, anticipate threats, and understand the deeper rhythms of nature. Every lesson strengthened her body and mind, but also drew her closer to Kaelin. The tension between them was undeniable. Every glance, every touch carried the weight of unspoken emotion. One night, as the moon rose high and silver light bathed the forest, Kaelin brought her to a secluded glade. The air was still, the only sound the gentle rustle of leaves. "Your wolf has awakened fully now," Kaelin said, his voice low and resonant. "But awakening is not enough. You must face the darkness within, the fear, the doubt, the longing that can twist power into something dangerous." Alara's eyes met his. "I'm ready," she said, though a flicker of uncertainty lingered. The wolf inside her pulsed, sensing the truth of his words. Kaelin nodded and stepped closer, his presence commanding yet gentle. "Then we begin the next test." The forest around them seemed to respond to his words. Shadows lengthened, the wind stilled, and a faint, chilling howl echoed from the distance. Alara's heart raced, and her wolf surged within her, senses on high alert. The darkness had arrived, not as rivals or enemies she could see, but as something older, deeper, and far more dangerous. The shadows shifted, coalescing into a form that made even Kaelin tense. An enormous wolf, larger than any pack member she had seen, emerged from the gloom. Its eyes glowed with a fierce, unnatural light, and its growl shook the earth beneath them. This was no ordinary predator. It was a force tied to the prophecy, a test of strength, control, and courage. Alara's wolf growled in response, rising within her like a tide. She felt power she had never known, a blend of fear, excitement, and determination. Kaelin stood beside her, his presence steady, anchoring her. Together they faced the dark wolf, their bond amplifying their strength. The enormous wolf lunged. Time seemed to slow. Alara moved with instinct, weaving through the attack, her wolf guiding every motion. Kaelin followed, striking with precision, their movements perfectly synchronized. The clash of power echoed through the forest, a dance of shadow and light, strength and skill. Alara realized something crucial in that moment. Her wolf was not just a weapon, it was an extension of her heart, her courage, her longing to protect and to rise above scorn. Every strike, every dodge, every roar was a testament to her growth, her awakening, and her bond with Kaelin. The dark wolf hesitated under the intensity of their combined power, and for the first time, Alara felt not fear but exhilaration. She was no longer useless. She was rising, stronger than anyone had believed possible. Cliffhanger. As the dark wolf recoiled, a deeper shadow moved unseen in the trees, older, stronger, watching, waiting. Alara's wolf bristled, sensing the danger, and Kaelin's hand found hers once more. She looked into his eyes, heart racing, and knew that the true challenge, the one that would test both her power and her heart, was still to come. The forest of Valian lay silent under the moon's silver gaze, yet a tension lingered in the air, sharp as the edge of a blade. Alara stood at the cliff's edge, her wolf restless inside her, muscles coiled and senses alert. Kaelin stood beside her, strong and unwavering, the alpha king in every sense. Yet today, he was more than that. He was her anchor, her guide, her companion in battle and heart alike. "The darkness grows," Kaelin said, his voice low, carrying the weight of command and something softer, concern perhaps, or something she could not yet name. "It will come tonight. You must be ready, Alara." Alara swallowed, feeling her chest tighten with anticipation. She had faced rivals, wild beasts, and the initial stirrings of her wolf. But tonight, the challenge was greater, older and darker than anything she had imagined. A part of her trembled, but another part, the part that had survived scorn, doubt, and fear, burned with resolve. She placed a hand over her chest, feeling the steady rhythm of her wolf's heartbeat. "I'm ready," she said softly, though the wind carried a warning from the trees. The danger approaching was more than they could see. Moments later, the shadows shifted. A low growl reverberated through the forest, and from the darkness emerged a figure immense and spectral. A wolf larger than any she had faced before, eyes glowing like molten gold, its presence radiating raw power and ancient intent. This was no ordinary enemy. This was the heart of the darkness, the force that had waited centuries for a challenge worthy of its strength. Kalen's hand found hers, grounding her. "Together," he said. The single word carried more than instruction. It was a promise, a bond, and a shared courage. Alara nodded, and her wolf surged within her, wild and unrestrained, yet perfectly attuned to Kalen's energy. The first clash was earth-shaking. The dark wolf lunged with speed that blurred the trees, and Alara met it head-on. Her claws cut through the air with precision, her wolf guiding her every movement, instincts sharpened by weeks of training. Kalen struck beside her, their actions synchronized, a perfect harmony of power and strategy. The forest seemed to tremble under the force of the battle. Trees shivered, leaves scattered like sparks, and the wind carried the echoes of their growls and roars. Alara felt exhilaration surge through her veins. This was more than survival. This was awakening, mastery, and purpose all at once. The dark wolf tested them relentlessly, each strike faster and more cunning than the last. Alara's wolf howled in response, feeding her courage, guiding her instincts, and sharpening her senses. She no longer feared the darkness. She embraced it, understanding that her power was meant to challenge it, not flee from it. Kalen's voice cut through the chaos, steady and commanding. "Focus. Together always." Alara mirrored his movements, the rhythm of their hearts and wolves merging into one. Each strike, each dodge, each roar of power resonated not just through their bodies, but through their bond. She realized, in a way that transcended thought, that her wolf was not separate from her love for Kalen. The strength she had been denied all her life was tied to courage, trust, and the connection they shared. Finally, in a moment of perfect clarity, Alara saw an opening. The dark wolf lunged once more, but she shifted with a speed and grace she had never known before. Channeling every lesson, every heartbeat, every shred of courage, she struck, her claws grazing the dark wolf's shoulder. A brilliant light radiated from her, the energy of her wolf amplified by her resolve and her bond with Kalen. The dark wolf faltered, growling, staggering, as if unprepared for such force. Alara felt a thrill of triumph but did not falter in control. She did not seek destruction. She sought balance, mastery, and redemption for herself and her pack. With Kalen by her side, they struck together, pushing the darkness back, asserting not only strength but harmony and purpose. At last, the dark wolf retreated into the shadows, vanishing like mist in the night. The forest fell silent once more, save for the gentle rush of wind and the steady thrum of life around them. Alara's wolf receded, calm and responsive now, no longer wild, no longer untamed. She was in control, fully awakened and transformed. Kalen lowered himself beside her, eyes soft and warm. "You have risen," he said, almost in awe. "Stronger than I imagined, more than I dared hope." Alara breathed deeply, exhaustion mingled with exhilaration. She had faced scorn, doubt, rivals, and darkness itself, and had emerged whole, unbroken, and powerful. Her wolf, once hidden and restrained, now pulsed gently beneath her, a living reminder of the journey she had endured. The forest, sensing the shift, seemed to exhale. Leaves rustled softly, and the moon bathed the glade in silver light. The pack, who had once called her useless, began to emerge from the shadows, eyes wide with awe and respect. For the first time, they saw not a weakling but a force of nature, a protector, a hero. Kalen's hand found hers again, this time with intent, and Alara felt a warmth that went beyond the wolf. Their eyes met, and in that silent gaze, centuries of unspoken emotion passed between them. Respect had grown into admiration, admiration into trust, and trust into a bond deeper than either had expected. "You have done more than prove your strength," Kalen said softly. "You have shown courage, heart, and the power to protect. The pack will never doubt you again." Alara's chest swelled with pride, but also a quiet understanding. True strength was not measured by the size of claws or ferocity of fangs, but by the courage to face fear, the willingness to protect, and the wisdom to control power. She had been useless once in the eyes of the pack, but no longer. The pack gathered around, forming a circle of acknowledgement. Elders, hunters, and even her former rivals bowed their heads, not in submission, but in recognition of the hidden wolf that had risen. Whispers carried on the wind. "The hidden wolf, she has awakened. She is not useless." Alara looked at Kalen, and a smile touched her lips, a mixture of relief, pride, and something tender that neither words nor wolves could fully capture. Kalen knelt before her, not in submission, but in reverence for the power, courage, and spirit she had shown. "I kneel not because I must, but because I see," he said, his voice steady, resonant. "You are the heart of this pack, Alara. The one who has shown us all the meaning of courage and strength." Alara's heart leapt, and her wolf stirred gently, sensing the profound connection between them. The world felt brighter, alive with possibility, and the shadows of scorn that had haunted her were finally gone. She had earned her place, not by proving herself to others, but by proving herself to herself. As the moon climbed higher, painting silver paths across the forest, Kalen rose and extended his hand. Alara took it, feeling the warmth, strength, and unwavering trust that had grown between them. Together, they walked through the forest, side by side, the wolf inside her calm and harmonious, the bond between them unbreakable. Yet even in this moment of triumph, the wind carried a faint whisper, a reminder that the forest and the world held deeper mysteries still. Alara felt it in her bones, a shiver that was neither fear nor doubt, but a spark of anticipation. The darkness they had faced tonight was strong, but not the end. The journey, the growth, the bond, all were just beginning. For now, however, she allowed herself to feel victory, joy, and connection. The pack's approval, Kalen's reverence, and her own awakened power coalesced into a sense of peace she had never known. The hidden wolf was no longer hidden. She had risen, redeemed, and transformed. The first light of dawn painted the horizon with shades of gold and rose. Alara and Kalen stood on the cliff, watching the forest awaken. The wind carried the scent of wild flowers and earth, of possibility and promise. She could feel the wolf inside her, steady and patient, as if knowing that their journey together was far from over. But tonight, for the first time in her life, Alara felt truly free. Free of doubt, free of scorn, free to be herself, and to rise beyond anything anyone had ever imagined. Final cliffhanger. As the sun's first rays kissed the treetops, a faint shadow moved in the distance, a reminder that the world was vast, the darkness eternal, and her story far from over. Alara smiled, wolf and heart united, ready to face whatever came next, knowing that together with Kalen, she could meet any challenge and perhaps even reshape the fate of the forest itself.